Check. Check 1, 2.
Uhuru, Uhuru, Uhuru. Uhuru means freedom. I want to welcome everyone here today who came out to this important press conference called by Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles and the African People Education and Defense Fund. We appreciate all of you who came out today, the press, our community partners, friends, and supporters. My name is Bob Myers, and I'm a member of leadership of Uhuru. I'm sorry.
Okay. It'll help me.
My name is Bob Myers. I am a member of the leadership of Uhuru Furniture and the leader of the truck team and Uhuru on the Move, our forward service moving company. I want to start by saluting the leadership of Uhuru Movement. Chairman Omali Yesatella, who is the founder and leader of the Uhuru Movement and has been organizing for the democratic rights and freedom for the African people over 60 years. I also want to salute the board president of APDF, owner Zane Yesatella, who leads the Uhuru Furniture in over 50 institutions for economic self-determination around the U.S. and is the leader of the Black Power Blueprint programs in St. Louis, Missouri that are under attack by this system today. We call this press conference to let people know the significance of the MLK Day event that we are holding on Monday and encourage you to join us and condemn the very violent FBI raid on the homes of the chairman and board president, owners of Zane Yesatella, and 6 other homes and community centers of our movement on July 29, 2022. We are here to call on you to stand up with us to defend and support our right to build our own institutions and programs to uplift and develop our communities without interference or disruption by the status quo. We are dealing with the same struggles for our civil and human rights and the same system that opposes our rights that Martin Luther King Jr. was contending with in the 60s. I want to introduce our first speaker, my comrade, Ali Huntley, leader of the sales teams at Uhuru Furniture, who is giving a statement from the African People Education and Defense Fund. Uhuru.
Uhuru! Uhuru! Thank you, Bob. All right, I want to just welcome everybody here today, and thanks for coming out. And this press statement is coming from, the APEDF, African People's Education and Defense Fund, and the Uhuru Movement. The African People's Education and Defense Fund and the Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles are holding this press conference today as we prepare for our annual MLK Day program and volunteer projects on Monday, January 16th at 10 a.m. right here at Uhuru Furniture. Every year we salute the leadership of Martin Luther King Jr., who played a leading role in the civil rights movement in the 1960s, fighting for the rights of African poor and working people to have freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom to vote and to participate as equals and alike in the U.S. Today, there is a national holiday for King, and he is publicly revered. But when he was alive and leading a mass movement fighting for our basic human and civil rights, he was harassed, targeted, slandered, and assassinated by the U.S. government and the FBI. APEDF denounced the FBI attack on Martin Luther King Jr., on Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey, on Fred Hampton and all the courageous leaders who have stood up and organized our people for freedom and justice. This is particularly critical today because our movement, the Uhuru Movement, and our leaders are under the same attack by the FBI. Our chairman, Omali Yesatella, who founded the Uhuru Movement in 1972, stated that, like MLK, the black community freedom struggle of today is coming under attack. The same FBI that surveilled, harassed, and killed MLK is currently targeting the Uhuru Movement leaders and institutions. On July 29th, 2022, the FBI carried out a coordinated military pre-dawn raid on 7 offices and homes of the Uhuru Movement leaders in St. Louis, Missouri, and St. Petersburg, Florida. They attacked the chairman's homes with flashbang grenades, pointed laser sights at his chest, and when he came out of his house, and sent a drone that almost hit his wife. APEDF Board President owner Janae Yesatella, the FBI used battering rams to break doors. They destroyed property and stole computers, phones, files, and historic documents in all 7 locations. No one was arrested, but today we face bogus charges and could be indicted at any time. APEDF programs for African self-determination are being attacked today by the same system that keeps our communities impoverished and denied African people basic human rights and economic empowerment. This is an attack on the entire African community, and we call on people from all walks of life to stand with us to defend the rights of African people to organize in our own interests and create programs to solve the dire problems our community faces daily. APEDF upholds and defends the right of the African community in Philadelphia and around the country to organize for economic and political self-determination and carry on the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. The MLK Day event will recognize MLK and all the black leaders and millions of working people who have fought for the democratic rights of the African community for decades. Work that is being carried on today by the Uhuru Movement. Chairman O'Malley Yesatella fought for over 60 years, starting in the 60s with the struggle for our right to vote, and has since built a movement bringing Africans together worldwide while liberation. This is what they attacked then, and this is what they are attacking now. APEDF and the Uhuru Movement have been upholding the human and civil rights of the African community for over 36 years in Philadelphia, working toward end the disparities in health, healthcare, education, and economics. Developing for our community, the conditions for our community have not improved in the past 60 years, and in fact, they are worse than ever. Philadelphia has the highest rate of poverty and deep poverty of any major U.S. city. Black women account for 43% of birth, but suffer 73% of maternal deaths. Before COVID, only 2.5% of Philadelphia businesses were black owned. And this rate has been decreased with the pandemic. Under the powerful and visionary leadership of owner Janae Yesatella, the APEDF board president, APEDF is leading and providing solutions for these devastating conditions faced by the black community through building economic programs and institutions for self-determination, including Uhuru Furniture and the One Africa, One Nation marketplace in Philadelphia that provides jobs and jobs training and creates economic opportunities for hundreds of families through vending. Black Power Blueprint is a comprehensive community development plan that APEDF is leading in St. Louis, Missouri to transform our impoverished black neighborhoods into positive, self-reliant communities with self-running programs to uplift our conditions in every aspect of life, access to healthy food, health care, economic development, and education in our own interests. It is a blueprint that can and will be replicated in every city. Projects include a community center, a community garden, a farmer's market, and a state-of-the-art basketball court, a doula training program, and an African Women's Health Center. The African Independent Workforce, a program providing jobs, training, and housing for people coming out of the oppressed prison system, and much more. And this is what the FBI is attacking. Uhuru Furniture has been an important institution in Philly for over 28 years, and in Oakland, California for over 33 years. Thousands of people know and love Uhuru throughout our furniture stores and Uhuru on the Move, a full movie service. The people of Philadelphia support the rights under development African communities to build our own solutions to the conditions imposed on us by this system. We say we have the right to independent economic development, job training and job opportunities, Black community-led programs and institutions that meet our needs so that the African woman don't have to die giving birth to our children, so that the African babies don't have to die in their first year of life, so our communities can grow and thrive and develop like all communities strive to do. We have the right to do this without government interference, intimidation, harassment, and imprisonment. The FBI called King a terrorist, but he committed no crime. The Uhuru Movement has committed no crime. The U.S. has historically attacked the African freedom movement, assassinating our leaders, destroying our neighborhoods with gentrification, imprisonment mass of African peoples for crimes white people don't go to prison for, and kept us impoverished and dependent. We call on the community of Philadelphia to join with us, the hundreds of thousands of people worldwide who are standing up to demand hands off Uhuru, hands off Chairman O'Malley Yesatella, hands off Africa, and our right to self-determination and freedom. Come out on Monday and participate in our MLK Day of Service. We have a powerful program in the morning to inform you about the historical struggle for Black freedom that continues today with the Uhuru Movement. We go out in the community to distribute literature about Uhuru Furniture and come back together for lunch, prizes, and awards. Support and defend the human and civil rights of the African community and the economic self-determination programs of the African People's Education and Defense Fund. Uhuru.
One Africa, one nation, one Africa,
one nation. Uhuru, Uhuru. Thank you so much for that powerful statement, Ali. Next, I want to welcome a great friend, the Uhuru Movement, Dr. Michelle Strongsfield, the leader of I Am Science, a science education program for African children. Dr. Strongfield is a medical professional trained in Cuba who has worked with our sister's nonprofit, the All African People's Development and Empowerment Project, and to bring life-saving medical resources to the African people in Sierra Leone and other places where the Uhuru Movement works. Uhuru.
I'm a little surprised. I was going to speak this morning. I thought I was going to just observe. But I just want to lend my support and everything that I have.
I did that. I'm sorry.
Wow, messing me up. No. I'm sorry, brother. No, I just want to lend whatever support I have to offer, whatever talents and skills I have, my heart, my soul, to whatever I can do to further the truth that was told by Brother Ali. Because is that we deserve independence. We deserve self-determination. All of us do. We deserve it. And it is a divine human right that we have. So thanks for having me. And I'm here to work.
Thank you so much, Dr. Strongfield. Really appreciate it. Next, my comrade, I want to invite a long-time community organizer here in Philadelphia, Batum, who is speaking on the behalf of One Africa, One Nation Marketplace. Uhuru. Thank you.
Yes. All right, technology, you know. I just want to say, hands off Uhuru. Hands off Africa. Hands off Chip Amala Yeshatella. Uhuru. Uhuru and freedom greetings. My name is Matum Nyobi. I'm a leader with the African Movement. I want to appreciate the organizers for the invitation to speak today and support the work to build and promote the upcoming MLK Day event. Martin Luther King Jr. was a leader that had a deep, profound interest in the liberation of African people. He had a peaceful message that has significance, undertones of self-reliance and self-determination. The Uhuru Movement and over 50 institutions and programs under the Black Power Blueprint carry the same messages. Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles has been the cornerstone of Philadelphia community for close to 30 years, defending and protecting the rights of the African community by providing jobs, volunteer opportunities, and hosting important programming. This is why everyone should make it their business to come out on Monday, the 16th, and participate in this important project. Over the last 18 years, the One Africa, One Nation Marketplace has been a critical economic development institution for the African community in Philadelphia by acting as a business incubator in the most deeply impoverished city in the U.S., where only 2.5% of businesses are African-owned. APEDF leads practical operations of the markets to ensure the African community has the ability to build Black community control of commerce, as well as feed, clothe, and house their families. Over the last 2 years, various vendors have been setting up along Chester Avenue on the Part A side of Clark Park on Saturdays to catch traffic adjacent to the farmers market. With the global pandemic shutting down the world and access to resources becoming more scarce, despite the city's currently having a budget surplus of $500 million, it makes sense that people would take matters into their own hands to make money by any means necessary. However, the vendors directly contend with the monthly long-standing One Africa, One Nation Marketplace, creating a significant loss of income for our vendors who have registered and paid a fee to vend under our permit. Some of our vendors have started setting up on Park A side even after paying to vend with the One Africa, One Nation marketplace because of how much more traffic the Park A side gets in comparison to ours. As a result of the Fairmont Park Commission and the city's negligence, the One Africa, One Nation market have suffered immense financial and reputable harm. One of our vendors pointed out that she perceives this as a plan to sabotage the One Africa, One Nation market. That contradicts the city-state policy of supporting African-owned small businesses. Ultimately, the Fairmont Park Commission and the city are responsible for this problem, and they have to solve it before our next season beginning in 2023. We are forwarding this campaign to demand reparations for our African vendors who have lost so much income due to this contention that the Fairmont Park Commission and the city have allowed to happen, putting us in the middle of this unsavory situation that we and the vendors on the Park A side are not responsible for. Fairmont Park Commission and the city must be held accountable, and vending policies set by the city must be upheld equitably. The city also needs to provide more resources to African businesses, considering the 2.5% representation mentioned at the beginning of this overview has declined since the pandemic. We are asking for support from you, first and foremost, by signing and circulating the online petition at oneafricamarketphilly.org. I repeat, oneafricamarketphilly.org/petition. Next, we are asking for volunteers to help us build the marketplace for the 2023 season. Volunteers are the heart and soul of our economic development institutions, and we need you. We need your skills, and we need your precious times. For more information, go to our website, oneafricamarketphilly.org, or call 267-875-3532. I'm going to repeat. Go to our website at oneafricamarketphilly.org or call 267-875-3532. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Thanks, Matone, for that presentation. Uhuru. Hands off Uhuru. Hands off Africa. Okay, our last speaker is a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee and the manager of Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles, Allison Hank.
All right, thank you both for that introduction and all the speakers for those powerful presentations. I'm honored to be part of this press conference this morning and to be able to work at Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles, a beautiful and very dynamic economic development project of the African People's Education and Defense Fund. I'm a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee, the organization of white people formed and led by Chairman Amalia Shatella and the African People's Socialist Party, calling on white people to carry out our responsibility and role to organize in the white community for reparations to the African movement and stand in solidarity and unity with the just struggle of African people for self-determination and freedom. I want to recognize and salute our leadership, Chairman Amalia Shatella, who's been relentlessly organizing for African self-determination for over 60 years and is responsible for the unbroken continuity of the struggle for African freedom from the 60s to today. I want to salute our direct leadership at Uhuru Movement, Board President Onasune Shatella, who leads over 50 economic institutions and programs of the movement and is the brilliant leader and architect of a very powerful Black Power Blueprint project in St. Louis, Missouri. Under Onazune's leadership, on the very same day of the raids, 14 African women were trained as doulas at the Uhuru House Community Center as part of the Uhuru Wakalia African Women's Health Center program. The FBI raids on July 29th were an incredibly violent attack. Multiple agents came armed with full military force, in armored vehicles with battering rams, flashbang grenades, high-powered rifles and drones. As the chairman has said, they could have knocked on the door and said they had a search warrant, but they came with brutal aggression. If the chairman had made one false move, they would have killed him instantly. The raids were an attempt in part to intimidate people from supporting the Uhuru Movement and to disrupt and isolate it. The reason the FBI raids attacked the homes of 4 leading members of the Solidarity Movement and the Uhuru Solidarity Center in St. Louis, Missouri, is that they don't want to see unity from white people with the right of African people to organize for their rights. They don't want to see the resources flowing into the Black Power Blueprint projects that are raised in the form of reparations from white people supporting these incredible institutions and programs. The government wants us to sit by and be silent, to go along with the mass imprisonment of African people, the total lack of health care, the economic strangulation of the community, gentrification, pushing African families out of their homes, and destroying communities like right here in North Philly. But we won't be silent. The government can and will be pushed back in their desperate attempt to stop African people having self-determination and any control of their lives, to stop Black Power Blueprint, derail Uhuru Furniture, and the One Africa, One Nation marketplace. But we have to participate in the powerful counteroffensive led by the chairman and the Uhuru Movement, and be clear that we're not going to allow this to happen. We don't do this out of charity. It's in our interest. In the 60s and 70s, when the government launched COINTELPRO against the African Liberation Movement, when they murdered Malcolm X, murdered King, murdered Fred Hampton, and so many others, and imprisoned hundreds of members of the Black Panther Party, and Rizzo forced members of the Black Panthers out onto the streets in North Philly, naked in their underwear at gunpoint, had them up against a wall. There were white people who wanted to protest this deadly government attack, but there was no organization to join to show our unity with the Black Power Movement. But today, the Uhuru Movement has created the organization so we can work under the direct leadership of the African Movement for justice and civil and human rights. You can join the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, volunteer at Uhuru Furniture, and bring our skills in unity to stand up for real change and transformation. African people have always led the way in the struggle for democratic rights for all sectors of society. We have to say that it's not Uhuru that's guilty, it's the system that creates the conditions where African babies die at rates 4 times higher than white babies. You know, where our white families have 8 times the wealth of black families, where 1 in 8 people in prison in the entire world are African men inside this country. This is the system that refuses to let African people ever have any resources or build thriving communities where young people can look to a positive and prosperous future. Instead, young African people see no future in this society, only poverty, imprisonment, or an early death. This is not normal. It's not acceptable that there are 2 totally different realities of life in America. We accept it as just how it is in the white community, but it's not normal. We think it's okay to step over the bodies of African homeless people sleeping on steam grates to go to our yoga classes or go to the local cafe for a latte. But we have to wake up and realize this reality is unacceptable, unsustainable, and African and other oppressed people in the U.S. and around the world are resisting the horrendous conditions imposed on them and fighting back. George Floyd is not over. African people are killed every day by the police, and we refuse to accept this reality. As Chairman Omali Yeshitela has said, rights of all people are concentrated in African people's struggle to be free. The African liberation movement has always led the way for democratic rights for all people, and it's in our interest as white people to unite and support this movement. It's this system that dropped a bomb on Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921 to destroy the economic boom built by the black community in a huge section of the city, with theaters, banks, schools, businesses, hospitals, and a thriving independent economy owned and controlled by the people themselves. It was this system that dropped a bomb on the MOVE organization in West Philly on May 13, 1985, killing 11 African children, men and women, and destroying an entire community, burning 52 homes to the ground. How dare they say the Uhuru Movement, the only movement that's bringing real solutions to uplift the African community, building genuine economic development and empowerment to the people, are the ones who have committed a crime. We won't let them attack and imprison our leaders. We stand in solidarity with the absolute right of African people to have democratic rights. The right to freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and freedom to associate with whomever they choose, and the freedom to build genuine economic self-determination in the hands of the African working class. We say Uhuru, unity through reparations, hands off Uhuru, hands off Chairman Omali Yeshitela, hands off Africa, Uhuru.
Uhuru. Thank you, Allison, for that solidarity statement. So we want to open it up for a few minutes for anyone to come up and speak in support of Uhuru Furniture, the Uhuru Movement, and the right of African people to organize in their own interests. If we don't have no one to come up and speak, we're going to let Karen come up here and play for like 5 minutes, and I'm going to close it out. Uhuru. Uhuru. Hands off 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 Uhuru. Amazing. So in closing, I want to thank you all for coming out today and urge you to come back on Monday to join us for the historic celebration of MLK's birthday by working to build the movement today for the African community, self-determination and freedom that Martin Luther King fought and died for in the 60s. The Uhuru Movement is leading this struggle today, and we can and must be a part of this effort to continue organizing for our rights and bring real solutions to the appalling conditions our community faces daily. We must defend and support our institutions and leaders and push back the attacks on our movement. Hands off Uhuru. Uhuru.